Welcome back. You're listening to Island Life here on RTR 94.6 FM. I've got Gael Johnson, our Island's community worker, in the studio today, and we've just been talking about her role here as community worker. And in the next part, I want to look at a report, or a set of reports that have been produced by the Community Response Forum in the late last year. Gael, can you maybe just explain to listeners who the Community Response Forum is and what they were trying to do?
Yeah, okay. The Community Response Forum was an initiative of the current Minister of Social Development, Paula Bennett, and basically what the ministry was looking for was what was going on in the provision of social services from the not-for-profit sector, on the ground floor, as it were, and whether those services were being delivered effectively and professionally. And I guess from perhaps a cynical point of view, one could say that as long as the not-for-profit sector is doing that well, then it sort of takes pressure off the government. But anyway, we won't go down that political angle. The forum itself was convened in 2011 and had several members drawn from various walks of life, from mental health to correspondence school to Te Puni Kokore, the ministry. Tony Miller was the chairperson of the forum, and she was previously Auckland City Council and now holds a position with New Zealand Lotteries. The forum did its initial investigation into the Mount Roskill Wesley area in Auckland, and the reason that they chose that area was that it's the most ethnically diverse area in the Auckland region, and they produced a document around the investigations they did there after talking to community leaders and leading social services on the ground there in the not-for-profit sector. And the second place the forum chose to have a look at was Great Barrier Island. The reason for that was that we were unusual in being rural and isolated, extremely rural and isolated in a very small community within the Auckland region, and also that ethnically we're almost entirely consist of about 80% so-called Pākehā or European descent people and Māori. So that was about 20% Māori. So that is an interesting ethnic statistic in itself. So they came here, and they came out here and consulted with community in late July 2011, and there was a really good response from local people to arrive to that forum, and that was an invitation around community groups that are already working in the community. There was 16 speakers. People spoke very passionately and very well. The forum took gallons of notes, produced gallons of reports and what have you from that meeting. And in terms of our community, I felt that it was really important that we owned that information. So we took our own minutes and notes, and they're available. And also I saw it as being a baseline document for a kind of State of the Nation report on Great Barrier Island in 2011, from which we can kind of look back, I guess, as time goes on and say, are we doing it better? Are we meeting the visions that we have? Are we ameliorating the problems that we identified? Are we kind of responding to the challenges that this community has for us as individuals, for all of us as individuals, and for groups? So that was sort of the background to the forum rent. And then from in conjunction with the forum coming out, the Ministry of Social Development also produced a document for the forum, I guess, in a sense, as a background document in terms of social statistics on Great Barrier Island. And that document's also available from my office. It's called the Great Barrier Local Board Area Statistical Profile, July 2011. And a lot of that document is pulled from census information from 2006. Some parts of the document are Oh, well, they're kind of spurious, I guess, I would think. I mean, some of it's statistical analysis that's projected in ways that don't perhaps really reflect a community as small as ours. But I guess the real nitty-gritty of the document for people working in social services is that we are a very socio-economically depressed community. We suffer from extreme financial deprivation across the board on Great Barrier Island, and I think this is something something that tends to get a bit lost, I think, Rent, in terms of, we're such a wonderful tourist destination and we're a paradise on earth and we've got lots of birds and dolphins and beautiful beaches, and we certainly do. And I think that in the past people have simply gotten on out here and lived as best they could in very socially deprived or socio-economically deprived ways, which now, as we look at this, we realise that this is the extreme kind of outcomes that can come from this becoming more apparent as time goes on, and we're an ageing population. And I guess in a way the pressure that goes on us with inclusion into more of a, we're more included into the New Zealand nation, as it were, than we were probably 30 years ago. We just got on with it out here. I think that there's sort of a number of ways we can look at this. We can look at it really positively, and in that I can tell a good story, and that is that at one of the meetings that we had with the forum, someone brought up the question, well, what about the health of our young people out here? And in fact, the response from the health team was, our young people do really well. Excuse me. Okay, so in fact, our young people do really well out here, and the forum wanted to know why was that, given that we have fairly poor statistics in terms of income. And the response to that was that we have no fast food outlets. We have a lot of people live under limited power access, if you like, and therefore television hours are really limited. The focus, if you like, of our younger people out here is the outdoors, that they swim, they fish, they run, they row, they play rugby, they play netball, that the kids in general, the schools are very community focused, so a lot of parents and other members of the community are coming in and out of the schools and making the schools and the children there feel very much like they're part of a community that works. And so our young people are healthy and by and large happy. However, not to take away from the reality of our income levels, and that is that 48% or 50% of our people on Great Barrier Island actually live on an income of $16,300 or less, and that median income, personal income, in the 2006 census was in fact across the Auckland region nearly $10,000 more. So in other words, in the entire Auckland region, the median income was $26,800, and literally what this means on a day-to-day level is that people cannot cope with any bills beyond the day-to-day, in the sense that there might be just enough to eke out to pay the rent and buy the food. But if the car needs a tyre, or somebody has the flu for a week and needs to get stuff from the chemist, or something happens where you have several trips to the doctor and you need to use more petrol, then the budget is blown. And this results in a whole raft of results, really, Rent. I mean, you can work from the actual physical need, where they might come into my office and need to get assistance from Work and Income. They may need to get a food parcel from the church. They may feel depressed about struggling from week to week, which causes tension and arguments. It causes levels of violence to go up within a family where mum or dad can't cope with the kids saying, I need another $10 for such and such at school. So underlying our very beautiful and blessed place, we need to continually, keep in the forefront of our mind that we have a number of people who are living on fixed incomes that have not substantially changed in, over 15 years to my knowledge, and that they certainly haven't kept up with any kind of increases in costs on the mainland, let alone the cost increases that we have to cope with over here in terms of freight and petrol and what have you. So that's an awareness, and I work in the area of immediately trying to ameliorate or make better that person's day or week. It seems to me that also there's a constant need for advocacy at my level, at the community board level, at all of the levels of local groups and charitable trusts and what have you, to actually continue to say, this is not good enough. We are not expecting handouts, and people in general do not want charity. They actually want to make good in their own lives and use their talents. But also that we do live in a remote area, and we need to have perhaps a little bit of special consideration as New Zealanders to get training over here, to get input into infrastructure, to get subsidies on transport and that sort of thing on all sorts of levels. Now, I don't claim to know or understand all of the ways that those situations can be turned around, but to have a healthy economy here seems to me to be something that we all need to put our hearts into and to put our brains behind, in terms of continuing to make this a better place to live, and to recognise that in fact it's not all daisies for everyone. I hope I haven't painted too black a picture, but
you haven't at all, because you've also reminded us that we're quite a resilient, resourceful community. And it was nice to see in the Community Response Forum to actually see that acknowledged, both that we are putting all our strength into solving the problems, and also as the phrase that was used there, that what you mentioned before, that the government services that are available as a safety net often don't quite fit here. And the term that they used to quote it was that fitting a round peg into a square hole, and that's been us. Gael Johnson, Great Balance community worker, thank you very much for speaking to us and throwing a bit of light on the situation that's not quite as sunny for some people on this island.
Oh, yay. Well, thanks, Rent. And don't forget, my phone number is 386. My office hours for seeing people is Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 and 1 till 3. The other part of the day I try and eat a little lunch or get a bit of paperwork done. And do try and ring me before you come up in case I've got a meeting or something's going on, like last-minute radio interviews. Cheers, Rent. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.